Four men have been jailed after a county lands task force shut down a Class A drugs line in Birmingham. The line, referred to as the KP Drugs Line, was known to operate out of North Birmingham, supplying heroin and crack cocaine. The county lands task force launched an investigation into the drugs line and found that a set of telephone numbers were linked to supplying the drugs to users. The investigation found that Lewis Simpson, Connor Milner Burns, Ryan Bowen, and Dylan Ford all worked together in running the drugs line. The foursome used multiple vehicles to deliver the drugs to users, and the following multiple stops of the cars in Birmingham, the detectives were able to place together an investigation to eventually bring the line down. All four men were found to have their individual roles taken part in the supply of Class A drugs between November 2024 and July 2025 when they were arrested. All four men pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs at Birmingham Crown Court. They were sentenced on May the 22nd. Simpson, 25, from Kingsley Bankway, Birmingham, was jailed for 7 years. Milner Burns, 23, from Wilcare Road, Birmingham, was jailed for 4 years and 9 months. Bowen, 20, from Rawdon Grove, Birmingham, was jailed for 6 years and 6 months. Ford, 26, of no fixed address, was jailed for 5 years and 6 months. Jim Goodridge, investigating officer from the County Lands Task Force, said this investigation found that the group worked together to supply Class A drugs. There can be no doubt from the inquiries that these men were responsible for supplying a variety of drugs which we know bring misery to the communities. Here's some more news from Essex Police. A mother and brother of Archie Battersby have been jailed for a revenge attack which saw the duo chase a motorist off the road into a tree. Holly Dance, 50, and Archie's older brother Thomas Summers, 26, chased down the victim in separate cars for 13 miles from Westcliff-on-Sea to Basildon, Essex, before forcing the victim's vehicle into a tree. The incident happened in October 2022, 2 months after her son's life support was switched off and weeks after Dance buried her son. Dance and Summers have now been jailed for 4 years and 5 years respectively for their role in the attack. Archie Battersby was 12 when he died after a High Court battle in 2022. He had been found unconscious with a ligature around his head. An inquest later ruled that this was after a prank or experiment had gone wrong. The case sparked national debate, with Dance arguing against switching off her son's life support. The victim, a chef, suffered injuries including a fractured shoulder and foot. According to Basildon Crown Court, Dance's other son, Summers, then rammed into the victim and sent him into a bush. Mitigating for Dance, the expert described Dance as a woman whose life had been profoundly damaged by a terrible event. He added the night before the offences, she had been assessed regarding her mental health status. Prosecutor Richard Scott said the pair believed the victim had been involved in the bottling incident in which another member of their family had been hurt. The pair have drove to Meteor Road in Westcliff near Southend-on-Sea after Dance's daughter had falsely accused the victim of attacking her with a bottle. Dance tailed him in a BMW along the A127 to Basildon, while Summers followed in a rented Toyota. In a statement in court, the victim said, "I have never understood why I was targeted that night, and I often find myself overthinking what happened," he said in a statement. Dance pleaded guilty to dangerous driving. He was also found guilty of possessing a prohibited weapon, a gas canister. Summers pleaded guilty to causing serious injury by dangerous driving and was also found guilty of an affair. Here's some more news from the National Crime Agency. A lorry driver has been jailed for smuggling more than $7 million worth of cocaine hidden on a vehicle carrying a consignment of Kim Kardashian's Skims underwear and clothing. Polish national Jakub Jan Konkel, 40, was sentenced at Chelmsford Crown Court on Monday the 18th of May to 13 years and 6 months in prison following a National Crime Agency investigation. On the 5th of September last year, Konkel was stopped by Border Force officers at the port of Harwich in Essex as he arrived on a ferry from the Hook of Holland, the Netherlands. His heavy goods vehicle, which was carrying 28 pallets of Skims clothing, was x-rayed. The load was entirely legitimate, and neither the exporter nor the importer were connected to the smuggled load. However, the truck had been specifically adapted and a hide constructed in the skin of the rear of the trailer doors. Inside were 90 packages, each containing 1 kilogram of cocaine, with a street value of around $7.2 million. Konkel's tachograph showed a 16-minute stop that he failed to declare to the NCA in interview, which is when it is thought the drugs were loaded onto the vehicle with only his crime group's knowledge. Konkel of Kartuzy in northern Poland initially denied knowing anything about the Class A drugs, but eventually pleaded guilty to drug smuggling, confessing he agreed to smuggle the drugs for payment of €4,500. NCA Operations Manager Paul Orchard said, "Organised crime groups use corrupt drivers like Konkel to move Class A drugs, often hidden on entirely legitimate loads such as this. The detection and investigation have removed a significant amount of cocaine whose profits are lost to the crime group behind the smuggling attempt, and with Konkel, they've lost an important enabler. The NCA works with partners at home and abroad to protect the public from the threat of Class A drugs, which are at the epicentre of huge amounts of crime and suffering in the UK communities," Border Force Assistant Director Jason Thorne said. "These drugs destroy lives and inflict misery on communities. This significant interception is a testament to the brilliant work of Border Force, depriving criminal networks of millions in profit. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you."